Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, let's go over the market. Let's talk about Tesla and see what happened and if, the bull thesis that I had is done. Is it still intact? Is everything still looking fine? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So all that being said and done, ladies and gentlemen, jumping right into it. By the way, if you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. None of this is financial advice. Do your own research, make your own decisions, blah, blah, blah. So Tesla, ending the day actually down almost 3% at 2.9%, putting us just over $110. Again, with the market being overall pretty, negative, right? With the QQQ, for instance, being down 1.6%, Tesla actually pretty much just kind of following the market-ish. It did actually show quite a bit of weakness. So interestingly enough, the market itself was actually pretty... not pretty strong, but like decently strong at the beginning of the day, while Tesla was actually quite weak at the beginning of the day. I think it was down as far as like maybe 4.5% at the lowest, right? Or something like that, maybe 5, even close to 5. But then it's like the flip happened. The market actually went weaker throughout the day, while Tesla actually went stronger throughout the day. So very interesting stuff. But nonetheless, right, whenever I say that, Tesla is looking potentially bullish, etc., that doesn't mean that the next day it has to rally, right? That's just an overall structure. And on top of everything, of course, it doesn't even mean it has to play out in the bullish aspect because, again, like I always say, nothing in the market is guaranteed. It's all about trying to, see what side the odds are on, but it is never 100%. Even if it's looking like it's a 99% chance of something to happen, again, it's not 100. Make sure you always understand that. So whenever I say these things, it doesn't mean it's going to happen or has to happen. It just means the odds, in my view, seem favorable to, X position. In that case, it was the bullish side. So in this case, however, I don't think it's all done yet. Now, there are, of course, some bearish takes that we'll have to take a look at just to make sure that doesn't play out, and if it does, what to look out for. However, I am still overall hopeful, I guess you can say, right? So even after today's drop. So first and foremost, right, we still have that arguable, double bottom-ish kind of situation happening over here, which is that we talked about yesterday. We still have that kind of inside day candle from yesterday that we had on the green day. And then today we are essentially creating what looks to be a doji candle, right? Doji candles are candles that I've actually been talking about this for a while because how I've always been waiting for one of these candles where the open and the close is as tight and close together as possible. I've been waiting for that for so long, and I've been talking about it so many times where we were so close to like these candles right here, like this candle over here, right? Where we were so close to getting what looked to be like a beautiful doji candle, but then it just wasn't just quite there just yet. Well, this is actually pretty much what I've been looking for. This candle right here that we got today, more or less is actually what I've been looking for, right? As you can see, the closing and the opening pretty much almost at the exact same spots. And there's pretty much like no actual candle itself and just extremely long wicks. Now this right here is of course considered a dragonfly doji, which is of course this one right here, ignore this part, is this one right here. So dragonfly doji is a candle pattern that stock traders analyze as a signal that a potential reversal in a security's price action is about to occur, depending on the past price action. In this case, it usually means, or at least for us, it would mean a reversal to the upside. This reversal could be to the downside or the upside. The dragonfly doji forms when the stock's open, close, and high prices are equal, and it's not a common occurrence, nor is it a reliable signal that a price reversal will soon happen. So like I said, right, it is a good sign, but it's not guaranteed. You can't just look at this and be like, all right, we're 100% going to rally from here. That's just not, it's just not that easy. I wish it was, but it isn't, right? You have to take into consideration many other factors, such as, again, we are potentially setting up a double bottom over here. We do have a potential looking, seemingly rather, bullish divergence setting up on the daily, right? Another thing you can take a look at is the RSI, right? Where you can see we do have a actual bullish, potential bullish divergence set. It's okay. It's a little bit less convincing on the 1 hour. Actually, I'll be completely honest. The daily is looking not too bad. It's definitely setting up. The 1 hour is definitely looking a little bit less convincing, I will admit. There is a bit of a bullish divergence, right? It's, as you can see back when we were trading right around this level of 110, like right around this level over here, that was the lowest point. The RSI was at 12, which is quite low, right? And then we rallied and then came down even lower to about 105. And you can see we went substantially high. We went from 12 to 27. 27, 28, which is substantially higher, right? So actually, I guess there's a bullish divergence, though it's not like super formed yet, but it's definitely there. So take that as you will, of course. But yeah, overall, I like the fact that we have double bottom. I like the fact that we're still trading within this range, kind of consolidating, right? Get kind of, breathing out, just kind of chilling, if you will. We have that inside day here, which is a good sign as well, which usually is a bullish reversal. We have a doji candle, which is usually, a sign of a bullish reversal. There's, like, in my opinion, 3 major signs that are pointing that, we may get a bounce from here. Again, doesn't mean it has to happen. if I were to give it odds, I would say about a 75% chance that we get a bounce from here and about a 25% chance that we consolidate and or even go back down even further to about 100, where like I said, you know, if we come down to 100, I will most likely be entering some calls. If we don't, then that's fine. I'll, you know, ride this thing up with what I have. So there is still definitely a possibility for that $100. And I think the most obvious thing is what I have drawn right here. This potential bear flag setting up. This is the bearish situation that, of course, we can't just ignore, right? So we do have a potential bear flag setting up right here, which in my opinion right now could be the thing that destroys kind of what I've been talking about. Now, even if this plays out and we come down, it's a very small bear flag. It's not going to be, you know, huge. And I think this bear flag will ultimately take us down to 100 if it plays out, which I definitely think is still possible. It's like a 25% chance of this, in my opinion, of this to play out to the downside, to back to, you know, not back to, but to a $100. Because it is a small bear flag. However, I do believe that that's not going to be too crazy. And I do believe that ultimately this overall divergence that we have forming should still overall hold and, you know, look pretty decent. So definitely something to keep in mind, guys, right? Very, very important to not forget that option exists still. But ultimately, I do favor more of upside than downside. But if we come to 100, I do think that we will bounce off of that and actually finally go up to what I've been talking about for so long. So either we go from here to up to around 140, or we go down to 100-ish and then bounce up to 140. Those are the two scenarios I personally see happening right now. But Tesla is absolutely, without question, due for some relief, right? Again, you can only go up and not ever have, you know, a move to the opposite side. In that case would have been down, or in this case it can only go down without some upside move that's at least somewhat sizable, not just like this 1 or 2 day run that wasn't really that crazy and then just continue back down, right? That's just kind of how you have to take into consideration as well. Things don't only go up, things don't only go down, plain and simple. Now, moving along, we have, of course, 21 EMA, like I did say, you know, on the, let's say, daily was sitting all the way at pretty much 140, right? If you take a look at it on the 1 hour, you can see it is kind of rejecting us on the 1 hour. We did go above it yesterday, but we came right back below it again, potentially setting up, you know, this weird inverted head and shoulders. I mean, it's a very funky one. I wouldn't put too much weight into this, but you can definitely argue that there is something setting up like this. It's a very small inverted head and shoulders. I wouldn't put too much weight into it, but it's about the same size as this potential bear flag. So just very micro, you know, technical pattern setting up in a much smaller time frame. You know, it is what it is. And then, of course, moving along to the 5 and the 10, you can see we are still below those things as well. So we definitely want to start pushing up above those. But like I said, guys, ultimately, regardless of whether we just bounce from here and go straight up to that 140-ish price target that I have, or go to 100 first, then potentially bounce to 140, roughly. Again, roughly, you know, we'll talk more about it as we actually start getting the bounce. And, you know, once we actually get there, we'll see if it's, you know, maybe it's a little bit less than 140, maybe it's a little bit more. You know, we'll get a better idea once we actually get there. But that is overall what I am currently seeing and what I am currently projecting. So another thing I want to keep in mind, guys, is a SPY is looking interesting to say the least, right? You can see we had a false breakout yesterday. As you can see, we were in this little potential bear pennant, if you will, or wedge. I keep forgetting whether this is a pennant or a wedge. I keep forgetting, but nonetheless, whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is the fact that you can see we were in this kind of you know, getting tighter and tighter and kind of ping pong in the zone. We did break out. It looked pretty decent over here, in all honesty, and this seemed like it would have been a good chance for Tesla to potentially get its rally as well started. But we fell right back in to this little congestion area, if you will, and we are barely holding now the bottom side of this congestion area. So we definitely want to see some, you know, I guess a rally, if you will, in the market, at least a little bit, right? Again, I personally wouldn't be surprised if the market still goes to potentially like SPY at least as high as 400. I don't think we'll actually go to 400, but definitely somewhere in the 390s wouldn't surprise me. But again, that's assuming this actually plays out to the north side as opposed to the south side. So we have yet to be, you know, that has yet to be seen, and we'll see where that actually turns up or ends up being. If this, of course, plays down to the downside, right, you can see this obviously will most likely put pressure on Tesla to play out this bear flag to the downside as well. So it really just comes down to, honestly, tomorrow I think might actually give us a pretty decent idea as to where these might actually want to be playing out, whether we have a bit more room to the downside left first before we can get that rally, or we can start getting that rally essentially maybe even as early as tomorrow, right? So that's kind of what I'm seeing at the very moment, guys. Let me know what you think down below. We still have that double top forming on TeslaQ, which is a good sign for actual Tesla itself. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think down below. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to hit that like button. On top of that, you can also see there is a bearish divergence now starting to set up on the TeslaQ, where this double top area here happened, and then the RSI was substantially lower. So very obvious bearish divergence, by the way, happening on the TeslaQ ticker, which of course is an inverse Tesla. Very similar to what we had happening over here back in the 300s, right? Where Tesla came up to 300 on the daily, the RSI was sitting beautifully at 77, came up again, RSI was sitting not so beautifully at 65, and then came up again to the same exact level, and RSI was really just even arguably lower than all the way here. So pretty much what we have, like, ignore this part right here. Like if we take this crown and just like draw all this out and just take a look at these two right here, right? Just this area is essentially what we have happening right here. Where is it? All right, you can definitely make the argument that it's essentially what's happening right here, right? So just something to keep in mind, guys, right? Take it as you will, but all that being said and done, thank you so much for watching. And the final thing is there is a dark pool print that happened on Tesla today at around 307, which was essentially more or less around the level we closed at. Regardless, dark pool prints are essentially trades, if you will, or like money moving around kind of in the background that doesn't really disrupt the flow of the market too much. But usually when you see dark pool prints at certain levels, you can actually use them. You can kind of make an educated guess as to whether or not it was a buy or sell. And from that, you can actually make an educated guess as to whether or not this could be an opportunity for a bounce or a fall. Personally, because of the way Tesla's trading, I personally still believe this is going to potentially set up a bounce, even if it goes down to a 100 first. But yeah, that's just kind of what I'm seeing. Again, just my opinion, just my thoughts, could be completely inaccurate. Nothing is financial advice. Nothing I say is financial advice. Do your own research, make your own decisions. Thank you all so much for watching. See you guys tomorrow. Peace.